Hello, good morning, graduates, parents, and friends. Welcome and congratulations. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the Communication Design Commencement Ceremony. My name is Casper Lam, and I'm the director of the BFA Communication Design Program. And on behalf of all of the Communication Design faculty, we want to celebrate this joyous occasion with all of you. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Rachel Schreiber, Executive Dean of Parsons, for a few remarks. Rachel?
Thank you so much, Casper. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome everyone, wherever you may be. As Casper said, I'm Rachel Schreiber, Executive Dean of Parsons School of Design, and it is truly my distinct honor to welcome you to today's celebration where we commemorate the graduation of the class of 2021 in Parsons AAS, BFA, and MPS Communication Design programs. I'd like to begin by conveying a very special thanks to the families who have joined us, to the parents, siblings, partners, and all loved ones. Your unyielding support has made this day possible. Thank you. To the graduates, I know this is not the way that everyone expected to mark this day, but here you are, you did it. You have worked tirelessly throughout your time here at Parsons. In particular, this past year, you remained undaunted and focused as ever as a global pandemic turned our entire world upside down. As the first cohort to experience a full year of remote study, you have pressed on through your final chapter at Parsons with ingenuity, courage, and skill, pushing creative boundaries, defying convention, and setting the stage for a new future in design. I cannot wait to see how your paths unfold from here on out. I know your futures will be bright and you will make your own incredible and indelible marks as you define a new future for society. Please stay in touch as 2021 alumni of Parsons and the New School, and congratulations on all of your achievements. And now I'd like to turn things over to the Dean of the School of Art, Media, and Technology, Shana Agid.
Thank you so much, Rachel, and thank you everyone for being here. Welcome, and thank you for being here from all of the places where you are. For those who are celebrating Eid today, welcome, thank you for joining us. I'm standing today on unceded Pennacook Abenaki land, and as Rachel said, my name is Shana Agid. I'm the Dean of the School of Art, Media, and Technology, and mostly I am just really excited to be here with all of you. I want to thank all of the faculty who I am looking at on the screen and others who I hope are also in attendance. I know that students have learned so much from you, as you have no doubt learned from them. I want to thank the staff who keep our school running and keep students sustained. And I want to thank your loved ones, those who have challenged and supported you, even as I am sure that you have challenged and supported them. And most of all, most importantly, thank you to the communication design students. You make these programs and the school what they are. The breadth of the work that you all have made this past year is extraordinary. You've explored the depths of loneliness and connection in the pandemic to shape our understandings of ecological disaster and our capacities to imagine responding and then to actually respond. You have engaged histories of power, of colonialism, and resistance in political and community-led cultural forms. The work is beautiful and engaging, and what you have put into it resonates deeply. Congratulations. Take a moment if you can to think about all that you have done to come here. And take a moment to remember those we have lost, those who are deep in struggle and survival right now. For many of us, I know, those two things are deeply and possibly permanently intertwined. So I've been thinking this week about what I wish for you, even if that seems presumptuous, because I think I only actually know a few of you personally. And here is what I have to offer. It's a paragraph from an essay called A Home of My Own by Chicana author Sandra Cisneros, and a very short story to go along with it. So 3, maybe 4 years ago, my partner Carrie began to read the last sentence of this paragraph aloud to her high school class. And then when we talked about teaching, to me. We do this because the world is a house on fire and the people we love are burning. Carrie read this sentence aloud in class and to me because it was true, undeniably and unmistakably true, and it was happening all around us. I loved this sentence so much that I came to school and I set it in lead type and I printed it on scraps of paper that were lying around my office and started giving it to people to use as bookmarks. And this was before I knew what Cisneros meant by this, by we do this. I was happy for that this to be anything, a kind of all-purpose this. The sentence kept me focused on the tasks at hand. Listen, learn, teach, be available, be humble, be brave. And then one day, Carrie brought the whole book home. And when I was preparing for a new fall semester, updating a syllabus, I picked it up to look for that sentence. And I found the whole paragraph, a little bit of which I'll read to you right now. Sometimes the woman I was goes out on weekends to meet with other writers. Sometimes I invite these friends to come to my apartment to workshop each other's work. What we have in common is our sense that art should serve our communities. Together, we publish an anthology, Emergency Tacos, because we finish our collaborations in the early hours before dawn and gather at the same 24-hour taqueria on Belmont Avenue, like a multicultural version of Hopper's Nighthawks painting. The Emergency Tacos writers organize monthly arts events at my brother Kike's apartment, Galleria Kike. We do this with no capital except our valuable time. We do this because the world we live in is a house on fire and the people we love are burning. So I'm a person who, as a little kid, grabbed the wrong leg, not the leg of my mother, which is the leg I thought I was grabbing on the street. And when I looked up, cried and hid. I also leave campus through the back door whenever there is a party so that I do not have to go. In other words, I love to be alone, and I am what people politely call socially awkward. But everything good I have ever learned, I have learned from trying things and from listening to and with other people. So I wonder sometimes if every generation tells the next that it's up to them to quote unquote solve the problems that we face. And then oftentimes that older generation will jokingly and sheepishly apologize. So what I wish for you today is to know that this is not your job, not strictly speaking. Because what I wish for you is to know that this is not something any one person can do alone. We are bound up in each other and beyond each other, bound up in the air, in the water, in the more than human that makes up a vaster set of worlds. What Cisneros teaches us through her memory and reflection on her own writing life is that it is with others that we learn what is at stake. It is with others that we fashion the means to do more than survive and the capacities to alter the course of what comes next. So the this in Cisneros' story is creating. It's writing and talking and critiquing and debating, making and showing art and design, and doing this with others. And this is my humble wish for you, the designers, the storytellers, the platform creators of the class of 2021 in communication design. To have your people, to listen closely to the living and the dead, to the natural world, and to make with and from what you learn, always with attention that the things you make do not lessen the chances that others situated in other ways or places or times can do the same. My wish for you is that you have what you need to address the world on fire together. Thank you so much and congratulations. I'll hand it back to you, Casper.
Thank you so much, Shayna. And it is now my pleasure to introduce you to our guest speaker for today, Alicia Cheng. Alicia is a founding partner of MGMT Design. She has worked as a senior designer for Method New York and was the co-design director at the Cooper Hewitt National Design Museum. She has served as a visiting critic at Yale University, the Maryland Institute College of Art, Parsons School of Design, Barnard College, and the Cooper Union. Alicia is currently an external critic for the Rhode Island School of Design and is now serving as the head of design at the Metropolitan Museum of Art here in New York. Please join me in welcoming Alicia.
Sorry, I need to unmute myself. What a rookie move. Thank you, Casper, for that introduction. And thank you to Parsons for inviting me to be part of your commencement send-off. It's been a hell of a year. I think there's many ways to say it, but it bears repeating again. So this graduating class especially should be praised and commended for just the sheer fortitude to get to this point. So I know it's been trying on one and all, both for yourselves, your families, and I'll have to say a big shout out to the faculty here who have guided you through and supported through this whole year plus that we've endured together. My comments today, while Shayna's were beautiful and so heartfelt, I feel are more maybe pragmatic to some degree, where I sort of was thinking about this address and sort of circling around sort of three main points. The first of which would be primarily to engage as you go forth in the world. There's a nice quote and anecdote that I read regarding Robert Caro in his early days as a sort of cub journalist. His editor, he was like whipping out these amazing articles about the political scene in Texas, and his editor said, "You're never going to achieve what you want to if you don't stop thinking with your fingers." And I thought that resonated with me insofar as I would say, don't just design behind your desk. It really helps. And I know it's harder for me to say this a year ago, but now I think on the cusp of where we are globally, it's still valid to say, try to get out there and observe directly, see what works in real life, print full-scale mock-ups, like go see how your design is being experienced. And that will really tell you so much more than what looks good within your screen. The second point I was circling around was listen. Because sometimes design is often with like a lowercase d and not an uppercase. And it's not always about sort of the portfolio outcome. I would say listen to both people you are working with, collaborate, but also listen to yourself, how you work, what you like to work on, and the environment that you enjoy. This makes you distinctive as a designer and also helps guide you with the next professional opportunity where you will be asked certain preferences and expressing them and sort of not necessarily narrowing them, but at least being able to get that sense of self will really make you stand out. And the last one is stay curious. Leading with what interests you at school should continue. I know you're like, I just finished, and you should take that well-deserved break. But just to say that what has been awoken in you during school is what sustains you in life, not to get too dramatic. But it really is what keeps you tapped into the passion that has carried you through your tenure at school. So that's it. Go forth, engage, listen, stay curious. Good luck and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Alicia, for those words. We really appreciate you taking the time to speak to all of our graduates today. At this time, I want to explain the transition. If you are a BFA student, please remain here on the live stream. If you are an AAS or MPS graduate, please look below the live stream. So there are links, if you scroll down on the page, there are links to your breakout rooms. This is for AAS and MPS students only. If you are a BFA student, please stay here on the live stream. And Brandon Griffiths and Pascal Gleesman will join the MPS and AAS students respectively in their breakout rooms.
Thank you, Casper, and see you guys in just 1 second.
Thank you all.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Alicia.
Good to see everybody.
All right. To all of the BFA students here, to our distinguished graduates, honored family and friends, I just want to thank you again for joining us on this special occasion. I want to say first a few words to family and friends. Thank you for allowing us the privilege of working with your graduate over the last few years. Without your abiding support and encouragement, they would not be here today. I do have a few words for our graduates. I want to first say that you have all been given an extraordinary gift of sight, which you have cultivated here at Parsons over the last 4 years. As designers, you have the ability to see beyond. Every visual form is an idea, and where others only see line, shape, or color, you have the ability to see the meaning that lies beneath. Use this gift wisely and share it with others. Use it to advance our understanding of craft. Use it to advance our understanding of the world, and use it to advance yourself. But above all, use it to strain for the highest things in life. Should you ever find that your vision falters, trust in the friendships you have nurtured and the abilities you have toiled so hard for. And remember, you will always be welcome here. So now it is time to rest, to revel, and to renew your sight for the journey ahead. Class of 2021, on behalf of the Communication Design faculty, congratulations. And now I want to introduce you to our student speaker for today, Cecilia Zhang. Cecilia?
Thanks, Mom. I'd like to start by saying a few thank yous. Thank you to the incredible team of faculty and staff at the CD program for your dedication and support. Thank you to my Chinese immigrant parents for encouraging me to pursue what I love, even though you're still not quite sure what I do. Thank you to the class of 2021 for accompanying me through these memorable 4 years. 4 years of shoebox apartments, late trains, and 2 full semesters of online thesis. To my graduating class, guys, I don't know how we pulled it off, but we made it. I don't know if you've seen the thesis set yet, but the projects on there are insane. Carissa made a podcast, Stella Cinema 4D'd her own apartment, Will designed a clothing line, and Julia made her own paper. I remember looking at the 2017 thesis site as a newly transferred freshman, totally intimidated by what was in store. I didn't know what a thesis was, let alone picture what mine would look like. I'm sure many of us felt the same way. And yet, look at us now. Looking back, it's clear we've successfully endured time and space, both in the form of first-year classes, but also metaphorically. Learning came in unexpected ways too. We found a courage we didn't know existed when we encountered our first cockroach and sty. We developed patience waiting for those elevators. We built up endurance during those all-nighter design marathons. And we learned the importance of preparation the hard way when our printers jammed or After Effects refused to render at 4 a.m. In those daunting crit sessions, we learned humility and resilience by taking feedback without letting it crush our souls. There were times where we wanted to throw in the towel. I think we can all agree that thesis during COVID was rough. But oddly enough, it was this year that I grew the most as a designer. The first 3 years, I learned how to make things, but it was this year that I confronted the questions, what do I want to make? Who do I want to make it with? And who do I want to make it for? But as time went on, I experienced this powerful shift from designing for validation to designing out of joy. When I first came to Parsons, all I wanted to be was just a good designer. And even though things moved online through thesis, I found my design community. When my joy and curiosity fell short, as it often did, my friends and my professors gave me the motivation to press onward. To Andrew and Casper and all my friends in thesis and guild, I cannot thank you enough. I hope we all continue our passion for making. I hope that regardless of where we work, who we work for, or how successful we seem, we continue just making things that excite us. I hope we don't underestimate what we do, but also remember that no single person nor industry changes the world by themselves. I hope we create all sorts of things that inspire, things that educate, and occasionally things that piss people off. I hope we take chances, license our fonts properly, and believe in something bigger than ourselves. It's been a wild ride, class of 2021. I look forward to running into everyone at the next book fair or zine festival, to saying hi and reminiscing about all the things we saw, we felt, we made, and we thought together. Congratulations, class of 2021.
Thank you so much, Cecilia. Now we will commence the announcement of all the graduates. Please feel free to use the reaction icons on the bottom of your live stream. And we will be announcing the names by the classes. So our first graduate, congratulations. Madison Brang completed her thesis, Resistance Platform, which she finished here in New York. Allison Bynum completed her thesis, Center Stage, which she finished here in New York. Emily Jingsum Chang completed her thesis here in New York. Ira Patricia Dolfo completed her thesis, Filipino Remedies, in Essex County, New Jersey. Maya Epen completed her thesis, Cultural Attachment and Adaptation, in Bangalore, India. Yorong Erkin completed his thesis, The User Condition, in New York. Martina Gallo completed her thesis, Abandoned in Time, in Brooklyn, New York. Pei Ru Guo completed her thesis, Slow-Paced Communication, in New York. Sana Jamali completed her thesis, Beirut Fatih, in New York. Scarlett Lee completed her thesis, entitled Self, in New York. Velamar Molina completed her thesis, Motion and Emotion, here in New York. Tata Rexco completed her thesis, Infrastructure Workbook, Jakarta edition, here in New York. Joyce Shi completed her thesis, Objects, Memories, Death, Us, here in New York. Diana Victorine completed her thesis, Tools for Maximum Productivity and Efficiency, here in New York. And Cecilia Zhang completed her thesis, Wikipedia Zines, in Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Vivek Bajaj completed his thesis, Nostalgia OS, which he finished in Mumbai, India. Sunana Bali completed her thesis, Devi Says, which she finished in New Delhi, India. Stella Mi Chen completed her thesis, Through the Crevice, which she finished in New York. Shenny Chuang completed her thesis, Cha Nation, which she finished in Shanghai, China. Nika Diomidovskaya completed her thesis, Visualization of Sound, which she finished in New York. Danielle Beatrice Go completed her thesis, Core Empath Corp, which she finished in New York. Siyu Sabrina Hong completed her thesis, Hi Mom, which she finished in Beijing, China. Will Howell completed his thesis, For Future Reference, which he finished in Miami, Florida. Karis Hewling completed her thesis, Mixed Theory, which she finished in New York. Juna Lee completed her thesis, The Journey, which she finished in Seoul, Korea. Yu-Tung Tiffany Ling completed her thesis group, Gathering Students Together, which she finished in Guangzhou, China. Carissa Munaf completed her thesis, Work in Progress, which she finished in New York. Eileen Pan completed her thesis, Refashioning Kimono Refashioned, which she finished in Taipei, Taiwan. Eva Serrano Reisner completed her thesis, 61 Laws, All Instances of God in the US Code, which she finished in New York. Anvita Shah completed her thesis, Unlearned, which she finished in New York. Niharika Sundarigari completed her thesis, Our Phones Tell Stories, which she finished in New York. Summer Wojis completed her thesis, Does Everyone in America Have Anxiety, which she finished in New York.
Hi, everyone. Excited to read the next group of names. Dotun Abesh Mbok completed her thesis, Everyday Nigeria, which she finished in Brooklyn, New York. Anissa Al-Raisi completed her thesis, Assist, which she finished in New York, New York. Rachel Chang completed her thesis, Oh Me Academy, which she finished in New York, New York. Raghav Chabra completed his thesis, Digital Access, which he finished in New York, New York. May Crawford completed her thesis, Escape, which she finished in Park City, Utah. Shiju Fu completed her thesis, Undecided, which she finished in Providence, Rhode Island. Sierra Glicker completed her thesis, The Golden Door, which she finished in New York, New York. Annie Hua completed her thesis, Acidic Atmosphere. Padmaja Kathari completed her thesis, Nushka, which she finished in New York, New York. Michaela Langkow completed her thesis, Blank, which she finished in New York, New York. Misty Lin completed her thesis, To You, which she finished in New York, New York. Durham Luowo completed his thesis, Integrate, which he finished in New York, New York. Pei Yun Lo completed her thesis, Niji, which she finished in New York, New York. Amani McIntosh completed her thesis, Foreign Eyes, Foreign Eyes. Amol Shahidi completed her thesis, Bhagawat, which she finished in New York, New York. Ichi Wong completed her thesis, Enliven, which she finished in Irvine, California. Emily Yoon completed her thesis, Cult of Q, which she finished in New York, New York. I'm gonna pass it to Prin.
On to our section. Jijang Sen with the thesis 20s in 2020, completed in Shanghai, China. Ana Furtado with the thesis Groove Map, completed in New York. Danny Gomez with the thesis Keeping Anxiety in Check, completed in New York. Wallace Wang with the thesis How Do We Imagine the Unknown Future? Completed in Shanghai, China. Lake Kennedy with the thesis, Ableism in Higher Education, completed in LA. Destiny Kim with the thesis, Private Seasons, completed in Seoul, South Korea. Zen Ku with the thesis, Chinese Gastronomy, completed in New York. Maddie Lee with the thesis, See the Unseen, completed in New York. Asa San and Jules with the thesis, Perseus, completed in Florida. Clara Smith with the thesis, Modern Education, 2021, completed in New York. Carolina Sterling de Abreu with the thesis, Protest Graphics and Social Media, completed in New York. Tiffany Tong with the thesis, Space in 2 Parts, completed in New York. Jasmine Wei with the thesis, Present Perfect Tense, completed in Taipei, Taiwan. Cheryl Zhang with the thesis, Looking Beyond and Behind T, completed in Boston.
Congratulations, everybody. I'm Luke Pullman. Darina Abizarova completed her thesis, What Are We Made Of? In St. Petersburg, Russia. Azal Isel completed her thesis, Soft Persuasion of New Insecurities in Brooklyn, New York. Elliot Boland completed his thesis, Queering Computation in New York, New York. Shreya Chittaranjan completed her thesis, Love, in New York, New York. Christopher Chu completed their thesis, Exploring this Post-Streaming Landscape in Brooklyn, New York. Louis Felice completed his thesis, Our Frame of Sight in New York, New York. Bernadette Figueroa completed her thesis, New Gods in Brooklyn, New York. Jade Lee completed her thesis, Disrupting Punk in New York, New York. Victoria Lee completed their thesis, The Freelancer's Journey in New York, New York. Sunny Lee completed his thesis, Our Times in New York, New York. Kevin Lumeau completed his thesis, The Waiting Company in New York, New York. Marielle Quadrino completed her thesis, Catharsis and Community in New York, New York. Rainier Salas completed his thesis, Diagnosis, A New Life in Miami, Florida. Rachel Tomaszewski completed her thesis, Melite in New York, New York. Yutong Wang completed her thesis, The Lost and Found in Xi'an, China. And Connie Shi completed her thesis, Mary Blue in New York, New York. And finally, Monique Zetouni completed her thesis, City, Color, Identity in New York, New York. Congratulations, everyone.
Hello, so on to my section of students. Sanghyun Julie An completed her thesis, Unwind, which she finished in New York. Lena Chen completed her thesis, Antiques of the Present, which she finished in New York. Caitlin Chung completed her thesis, Facing the Facts, which she finished in New York. Cheng Kui completed his thesis, Liminal Space, which he finished in remotely in Asia. And Yeji Kim completed her thesis, Bong, the Tangerine Farms in Jeju Island, which she finished in, well, Jeju, South Korea. And Chuhan Stephanie Lin completed her thesis, Ways of Writing, which she finished in New York. And Phoebe Lowe completed her thesis, Quarantine, an Isolated Time Capsule, which she finished in New York. And Charlotte Lomas completed her thesis, The Cure for Loneliness, which she finished in New York. And Rebecca Messenger Nick completed her thesis, A Brief History of American Myths, which she finished in New York. Sanjana Navar completed her thesis, Designing for Those Who Are Often Not Considered, which she finished in New York. And Chanju Tiffany Park completed her thesis, Archival, which she finished in Seoul, South Korea. And Story Pearson completed her thesis, Phantoms Bazaar, which she finished in New York. Stiti Shah completed her thesis, Data Poly, which she finished in New York. Samantha Simotas completed her thesis, Capitalism, the Visual Identity of America, which she finished in New York. Svasti Ujagar completed her thesis, Recollection, which she finished in New York. Deng Wang completed his thesis, Human Body Operation Manual, which he finished in New York. And lastly, Claire Zhang completed her thesis, Recipes for Community, which she finished in New York. Congratulations, everyone.
I'll be reading Joan and Dinah's section. Congratulations. Rebecca D'Agostino completed her thesis, No Trauma Too Small, in New Haven, Connecticut. Dani de los Santos finished her thesis, The Art of Reminiscing, in Manalapan, New Jersey. Xiao Ke-fei finished her thesis, Gushi, in Hangzhou, China. Chen Shi Lisa Gao finished her thesis, Floating Identities, in New York, New York. Trudy Hong finished her thesis, Lost Gallery, in Boston, Massachusetts. So-hyun Lim finished her thesis, My Pandemic Kit, in Seoul, Korea. Lillian Liu finished her thesis, Home Cooked Meal, in Atlanta, Georgia. Yuran Mao completed her thesis, Listen, Speak, in Beijing, China. Matilda Monti completed her thesis, Misconnections. Simran Rao completed her thesis, Religion Realigned, in New York. Yasmin Rosmi completed her thesis, Send Love With Me, in New York. Hyun-ji Sung completed her thesis, Food Bias, in Seoul, Korea. Ariana Ushiki completed her thesis, You're Worth the Room in New York, New York. Jacqueline Wu completed her thesis, Aqueous Headspace in Union City, New Jersey. Ricky Shea completed their thesis, Virtual Office. And Ellen Yang completed her thesis, Memory House. Congratulations.
Hi, everyone. My name is Juliette Cesar. I'll be reading for Tom Griffith's section. Liliana Checo completed her thesis, Decolonization is a Refusal to Conform in New York, New York. Mimi Guan completed her thesis, Dissection, which she finished in New York, New York. Ava Karlsrud completed her thesis, Simulacra Ambassador, which she finished in New York, New York. Brian Kim completed his thesis, Internet Standard Challenge, which he finished in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Jiwoo Lee completed her thesis, Ms. Buddy. Emma Lepore completed her thesis, Back to Our Future Remix, which she finished in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Wen Sin Lu completed her thesis, Memory, which she finished in New York, New York. Gavin Mullally completed The Separation Issue. Michael Mungai completed his thesis, Dome, which he finished in New York, New York. Caitlin Pike completed her thesis, The Chance Encounter of a Sewing Machine and an Umbrella on an Operating Table, which she finished in Westwood, New Jersey. Namjoon Park completed his thesis, Formal Studies, which he finished in Seoul, Korea. Julia Sams completed her thesis, Home, which she finished in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Savannah West completed her thesis, Metamorphosis. Jacqueline Young completed her thesis, Unboxing, which she finished in New York, New York. And these are our remaining graduates. Elizabeth Richards, congratulations. Michelle Gamble, congratulations. Young Ji Kim, congratulations. Camila Ulari, congratulations. And congratulations to all. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, everybody. You all made it and did it. I just want to say how much of a pleasure it was to be working with you these past 4 years. We want to just say thank you all the parents and family and friends. And at this time, please do look below the live stream. There will be 3 links to 3 breakout rooms, which you can hop in and out of. The faculty will be in each of the breakout rooms so that we can say our final goodbyes. And we look forward to seeing you momentarily in those rooms. So please, again, if you scroll down below the live stream, there will be 3 breakout rooms with the Zoom links where the faculty will be waiting for you. The password, if you do encounter it, is CD 2021. Again, the password is CD 2021 if it asks for a password. And we will see you all shortly. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you all very soon.